8.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So the first debate between Queen Sugar and Lori Lightfoot yesterday, NBC Telemundo. And a lot of sniping.
Both.
There's a rush to define. You see it in the commercials, and as is often the case, these commercials become the framework for the debates. And so it was a lot of personal issues and professional and political back and forth because, you know, on the substance of policy, how much daylight is there really between the two?
They're not. I mean, they both painted each other as insiders, but they're both progressive reformers.
She herself was one of the attorneys that defended Mayoral Lynch against discrimination suits by African Americans.
Let me say something.
No, let me finish. I listened to you. Let me finish.
So it was acrimonious, not as comfortable as you thought it might be.
Why are you constantly soliciting donations to your current campaign from partners at Mayor Brown? That is a height of hypocrisy.
Yeah, I mean, it really, Lori Lightfoot is right about that, number one. Number two, I mean, it's just weak tea. Lori Lightfoot is a corporate attorney. She's a partner at a big firm, Mayor Brown, so she's doing legal work. I mean, you think like Lori Lightfoot is in the tank for discriminators? I mean, it's just not a credible charge that Tony Preckwinkle is leveling against her, and so it falls flat as that did. No, there was one sort of light moment where they were asked what they admired about each other.
No.
The typical saccharine.
If you weren't running, who would you vote for? The
typical saccharine Carol Marine question. Because these debates don't call for serious questions and discussions. It's not like we're in serious times. But anyway, Preckwinkle, I mean, everything is pandering to identity politics. It's so pathetic. Tony Preckwinkle's answer?
What?
I admire that Lori Lightfoot is open and honest about being gay.
Oh, my gosh. Are you kidding me? Well, they did talk about endorsements because Lori Lightfoot got a big one yesterday. The Chicago Firefighters Union endorsed her.
She accepted today the endorsement from Alderman Sposato and Alderman Napolitano.
My goodness.
Both of whom are Trump supporters.
I'm going to let you lie, and then I'll respond.
You know, I'm not accusing you of lying.
No, you are lying.
I think
there was no endorsement today. Nick Sposato and Napolitano showed up when I was endorsed by the Firefighters Union, which I welcome that endorsement. They are apparently both members of that. But if you check our records and our values, I've been highly critical of both of those aldermen.
Yeah, well, that's not anything to write home about because Sposato and Napolitano are, with maybe throw Wagaspak in there, who's actually supporting Lightfoot, are about the only aldermen with their heads screwed on that are trying to do anything serious and are willing to stand up against nonsense when it's proposed, like the city key ID. So, I mean, this is what I'm saying. How much daylight is there really between them? To the question of what do you admire about Preckwinkle, Lightfoot, that she expanded medical coverage in Cook County. So, like, she made government health care bigger because that's such great health care. Who's going to Stroger Hospital unless you have a gunshot wound?
Exactly.
So anyway, we'll see. Lori Lightfoot, some of the early polling suggests she's got quite a big lead.
Good.
And one endorsement that both women are seeking is the endorsement of one Willie Wilson, former mayoral candidate, successful entrepreneur, who joins us now. Willie, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you guys for having us this morning.
And so you're an important person in this race. Both of the candidates in the runoff want your endorsement because they know you bring a lot of voters to the table and frankly, an interesting coalition of voters, center-right voters like myself, as well as a lot of African-American families who you've worked with and supported and collaborated with, and not just in politics, but in religious endeavors and philanthropic endeavors and employment endeavors. And so, Willie, who's it going to be?
Well, I can let you know in another 3 or 4 hours, you know.
Who are you leaning toward?
He doesn't want to upstage his press conference.
Fair.
We won't tell anybody.
Look at me as a fair person, you know.
So not even.
But I can tell you this much, though, is that Lori Lightfoot, that I have said all along, is that she's been leading in in my polls, the social media as well as the people that I've been talking to one-on-one and as a group and the pastors, the church, and I probably spoke to 500 or 600 pastors, and so in group, and so she's leading in my polls just like leading in I think WGN polls and other people as well. But
All right.
and I'm going to do exactly what the people.
So,
told me to do,
So here's how I would say this, because I don't want you to disclose anything. So you're not going to say who you're going to endorse, and that's fine. It's just not going to be Tony Preckwinkle. Okay, so that's fine. I'll take that answer.
So you've met with both women. I don't mean to ask the same question from that Carol Maureen asked during the debate yesterday, but what do you find is a positive attribute about both of them?
Well, I think both of them have certainly intelligent young ladies, gay and lesbian, the whole 9 yards. So my opinion is that when I pretty much just personal for a moment is that you got the machine and you got the non-machine per se, and you got the leader of the machine as well. I think Chicago need to have go in a different direction. Personally, myself, I haven't changed it since on my campaign trail, but I've took and give it a fair shake by letting the people decide, and just not myself. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I think both parties have done some things, but one of the things is I think on President Puckman, the sugar tax, things of that nature, and the corruption with Ed Burke. And the other situation is pretty much with Laura Lightfoot, have been the gay and lesbian that have not been accepted into the churches of the community. And so I've definitely faced with that. We're talking to a lot of the religion community. And another thing, I must admit to it, I felt the same way at times and time. It doesn't mean you change anybody's opinion, but you have to judge on economic and social issues, and go from there. And so don't worry about a person's gender. Just worry about what's going to be the best for Chicago.
Well, let's talk about economics a little bit. I mean, as a successful businessman, how do you react? I mean, both candidates are talking about raising different taxes. I don't hear either one echoing the Willie Wilson position from the primary of cutting taxes to make Chicago more entrepreneur friendly. So how do you size them up on those economic matters?
Well, I can say that the opportunity in terms of the way I look at it is that we know who have raised taxes already, all right, that's in office. The other person coming in, even though she, let's say, talk about raising taxes, but I'm certain that whoever gets in there, I'm going to be fighting not to raise taxes. And I'm not going anywhere. I think I have some people that voted for me that don't want to see me go anywhere. So I'll be involved fighting it either way it goes. I'm not for taxes. I think it's bad on business. And I hope I can have an input, whoever I endorse today in it,
Now, you ran for president last time, mayor this time around. Are you going to run for president again in 2020?
I don't know. I'm 70 years old. And,
that's young by Democrat standards.
Well, yeah, but in order for me to stay young, I need to be active. I need to be active,
Yeah.
So I as long as I got my health and strength, I always stay open, and because life changes every day. I may be hard today on one thing, I may decide today on another thing, but if the people ask me to do things, and it depends on what the circumstances are, as long as they are with integrity and principle and things of that nature, I do my best to try to participate and go that route. But I can say this much though: if I do not run, I'm still going to be involved with some of those decisions that affect people, particularly the poor and the needy, not let anybody try to take advantage of anybody's vote and don't do nothing for the neighborhood.
Well, speaking of the neighborhoods, Urban Institute study that came out this week, we've talked about in this show. I want to get your reaction. They project, the Urban Institute does, that Chicago's black population will be cut in half from its high of 1.2 million to only 665,000 by the end of this forthcoming decade, by 2030. And we know that black families are fleeing this city, and the Urban Institute is projecting out, basically, if the policy environment stays the same, that will continue to happen. How do you react to that? What should be done to keep productive black families in Chicago, or aspiring black families in Chicago?
Well, we have to change it. We have to get in there and work hard and change it. I've seen things change overnight. I've seen things change in politics overnight. And that means change in people overnight as well. If you give up, then more likely to get worse. But if you don't give up, you keep fighting it. I think that the taxes and stuff I ran, particularly African American out of Chicago, you just can't afford it. I mean, the taxes keep going up. I'm not going to be able to afford it. You know.
Speaking of taxes, I wanted to get your reaction too before we go to Governor Pritzker's proposal that he unfurled yesterday to graduate the state income tax and really stick it to successful people like yourself.
I think a lunatic. You know, I think people like myself, other people who work hard to make a living and take care of our family and also help take care of the neighborhood and things of that nature. Why punish a person because you work hard to be successful? Why run them out of the city or the state and let other states take them away, like Indiana and Tennessee and Texas with the Midwest? I don't know what they thinking of. I just can't understand it. I think a lunatic, and I'll do all I can do to make sure that continue to fight it and continue to talk to people that voted for me and start voting against these things so people can put an end to it and stop it. You know, it's the balance of the budget, it's the corruption, and then not bidding out the contracts and things of that nature. Those are the issues with the whole situation.
That common sense is why I was an inaugural member of White East for Willie 4 years ago now.
You were.
Don't leave. Still be there.
Don't
I
leave.
Don't know why. I'm gonna still leave.
All right. All right. If you're not leaving, I'll consider not leaving. Willie Wilson, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck at your press conference today.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
I
Willie.
think we know which way you're leaning.
I think we do too. By the way,
You've seen the light. Wink, wink.
Right. No,
nod.
not telling us, but it's not Preckwinkle. Okay. Also, a question for me. Weren't you in a Wham cover band called Gay and Lesby? I was. That was me with the frosted hair.
Willie Wilson joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.